Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to a new video. So I recently did a video on my gauge pod setup. I went over all the details about it, everything that I've done in terms of and the interior for the gauges. So we did the SUBI-Speed gauge pod as well as Revel VOS wideband and oil pressure gauge. And one of the things that a lot of people were mentioning, and also was something that I had on my mind as well, was to actually get this wrapped in Alcantara, since I have all up here wrapped in Alcantara, the iDoing head unit trim, and everything over here all wrapped in Alcantara. So this was the only piece that I was considering that I just didn't do. And I hit up my guy, Jason from Overland Designs, and I was like, hey, do you think you can wrap this for me? And he was like, absolutely. So I actually purchased a new one, which is actually right over there. And I'm going to install that tonight. So I'm actually going to be removing this one and installing the Alcantara one. It's a very, very minor difference, but as you can see, this is a metal, so it's a different material than the soft Alcantara, and it still looks good, but it's just one of those things that I think is going to look really good with everything flowing with the same Alcantara. So I'm going to go ahead, remove this, show you actually how to do it. It's really, really simple. You actually have to remove the whole trim piece here to get access to that. You don't have to remove anything up here. And then we'll go ahead and swap it over. So this is the new one from Overland Designs. Obviously looks exactly the same, but it's obviously wrapped in black Alcantara, the same Alcantara that's around the car. So it's gonna look really, really nice and very, very simple. The way this installs is really simple. It's just a couple pieces of 3M double-sided tape, and then you get screws with the kit as well in the box. But I already have screws used on that one, so I'm probably just gonna reuse the ones in there. The one that I do have in the car currently, obviously I don't have a use for it since I don't need two of these. So that one will probably be up for sale. So if anybody's interested, hit me up on Instagram and I'll get you a good deal on it. So let me go ahead. Let's start removing all the trim pieces and everything I need to get access to it. Then we can go ahead and install the new Alcantara cubby pod. So first thing that we are going to do is remove the shift knob. So it simply just unscrews. This is the Racing Stratos Alcantara shift knob. This is my favorite shift knob I've ever used. Absolutely beautiful. A little pricey, but 100% worth it. So we'll go ahead and unscrew that. So there we go. It's got some nice weight to it. Looks perfect. Looks brand new still. But all right, now what we're going to do is actually remove this whole trim piece. So we're going to pull up on the e-brake boot right here, and you're going to see a little Phillips head screw right there. So we're going to go ahead and unscrew that. And then we're going to be able to pull this piece out and get access to the cubby pod. Alright, so we got the trim removed from the car. It was easier for me to remove the actual shift boot from the actual trim here, simply because it's pretty tight over the Perrin reverse lockout. So just popping it out with a few clips there made it a little bit easier. I also removed this, which is just two Phillips screws in here. Gave a little access to have a little bit more room. So now what I'm actually going to do is remove the gauges. Alright, so really simple. They just slide right out. Then they have a few wires on the back here. It's just easy to pop them off, and then you're able to remove the gauges, and then we can get access to actual screws under there. Alright, so we got everything removed. We got all the gauges and everything kind of set aside. So now we can actually remove this. Now this is held on with some double-sided tape, which is easy to remove, but there's also two screws, so one there and then one there. They do come with 6 smaller screws, but this is the easiest way to do it if you don't want to disassemble everything. My shop RT Tuning, when they installed these, this is the way they did it. So I believe those are 8mm, so we can go ahead and get a small ratchet, undo those, and we can just put it back in the right exact same spot, which makes it very, very easy. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that, take this piece off, and we can throw the new one on. Alright, so here they are side by side. Hard to tell in the lighting, but this is the new Alcantara one, and this is the old, just normal metal material one, which looks really nice, as I mentioned. But if you notice, my shop actually drilled out 2 holes to use the self-taps, the ones that I just took out, the 8mm. So what I need to do is actually drill the same holes. So what I'm actually going to do is just take this as a template, line up all the holes on there, and just drill out new holes on the new one. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we can get to installing. Alright, so we got all the adhesive removed from underneath. We got the new holes drilled. So I'm simply just going to remove the red on the double-sided tape, line up the holes, and it's going to fit in right there. So let's go ahead. I'm going to have to put the camera down to do this because I need 2 hands, and then we can get to installing the gauge. Now keep in mind, there is more material around the gauge pod or the gauge holes here, so you're going to have to work them in a little bit more than you would with just the metal version. So I'm going to have to see how tight the fit is. I've been kind of test fitting them a little bit just to see, and it's definitely tight, but I can get them to fit. So keep that in mind if you go this route with the Alcantara. So everything is installed, super sturdy, very stout. The double-sided tape is just there for extra support, but the screws, the self-tappers, definitely hold it in very, very well. Like I said, it does come with the 6 smaller screws, which I'll show you in a little bit, but I definitely recommend doing the self-tappers, just 2 right there, and the double-sided tape. I'm telling you, this thing it would rip the whole entire dash off if you really pulled on it. So now that we got those installed, I'm going to go ahead and get the gauges in place. Just to make sure I get everything to fit properly. I'm going to pull the wires through that I need for each gauge, and then we can get to reinstalling everything. So very, very easy. Very, very thankful that this was already installed, so the holes and everything, super easy to do. But if you're doing this for the first time, obviously, it's going to take a little bit more work to line up and everything. So yeah, so there we go. Let's get the gauges back in and get everything finished up. All right, so we got the gauges installed. It took a little bit of manipulation to work them in. Basically, you had to move them back and forth to kind of shimmy them in. I also took a screwdriver and kind of pushed the material, the Alcantara. Before I put the gauges in, I kind of pushed them around to kind of flatten it as much as I could, and then they just slid right in. I just kind of pushed them back and forth and eventually went. So there we go. Everything is installed. Everything is plugged in. I verified it worked. I turned the car on just in case. So now I'm going to go ahead and install all of the trim and everything, and we can wrap this video up. Alright guys, so we got everything installed. Everything is back to normal. Looks fantastic. Again, a very, very minor detail, but having everything matching in Alcantara makes me happy. So just to clarify, make sure everything works. As you guys can see, everything's turning on. Obviously, I don't have the car on, so the wideband is not going to show anything, or the oil pressure. But there you go. There is the finished product. It looks fantastic. Really, really happy with that. And I think it really, really finished off all the Alcantara in the STI. So now that we got that finished, let me go over and show the old one, because I mentioned that these screws were included in the kit. So it comes with 4. I thought it was 6, but as you can see, there's 4, 1, 2, and then 3 and 4. I guess to give you more screw holes just in case. But here is the 2 ones that were drilled from my shop for the 8mm self taps, which I highly recommend. These would be really difficult to screw in working in the car. Obviously it can be done, but this is just a little bit easier, and I think it's a little bit more robust. Just got to add some double-sided tape and you're good to go. So if you are interested in this piece, let me know. I'll be more than happy to sell it to you. I'll give it to you for a good deal. These things are normally, I think, like 50 bucks or so. So hit me up on Instagram and we can work something out. So I got a ton of other stuff to install on the car. I'm still waiting on the JDM auto folding mirrors. I have everything else, but I'm just waiting on the actual mirrors. So those are coming from Japan. So once those come in, we'll get working on that. But we got sway bars, we got diff bushings, we got a bunch of stuff over there that we're going to be installing as well. But really, really happy with the Alcantara gauge pod cubby. I think it looks really, really nice, really good. And again, it just really cleans everything up. So happy with how this interior turned out. I'm still debating on getting some WRX rear seats to kind of get rid of the red. I originally was saying that I was going to go with the leather, but I think I'm going to go with the WRX, just the cloth. I think that would look a little bit better. Obviously, I could take this to an upholstery shop and just get the red taken out, but that's just too much work. So I don't know. We'll see. I haven't done it yet. I still like these. It's just the red that I'm not crazy about. So that wraps up this video. If you guys have any questions at all about the gauge pod cubby or anything else at all, be sure to ask them in the comments below. But in the meantime, keep it clean, Keep it simple, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.